In my journey with film photography so far, my favourite film stock to shoot with has been Fuji Superia Premium. I first came across it when I was in Japan as a test roll for my at the time brand new point and shoot camera. And when I got the scans in for that roll, I loved the colours. So I went on to shoot another roll in Japan, and then I got back to Australia and realised that they don't actually sell the film anywhere but Japan. Or at least that's what I thought, until one day I was walking through the streets of Melbourne, going to a bunch of different camera stores, and I found it. I found it in a vending machine. A vending machine that sells film. A vending machine that sells film. And in that vending machine was some Fuji Superia Premium. So I bought it straight away, shot 3 rolls, and now I'm making a video about it. So yeah, let's take a look at some pictures that I shot on my favourite film stock. But just before I get started with that, I've separated these pictures into 2 different sort of categories for this video, because on my third and final roll, I shot it metered at ASA 200 rather than at ASA 400. And I'll explain all of that when I get to that part of the video. But for now, let's start off with some pictures that I took at the beach of my friends. And that begins with this gravity-defying shot that I really like. And technically, yeah, their backs are ever so slightly overexposed, but it works. You're at the beach in the sun. It's the midday sun practically. So I shot all of these beach shots on my point and shoot, so the glass isn't really perfect. There's some obvious vignetting, but just ignore that, because in this video we're talking about film, not the cameras. So you can't criticize me, okay? Also, something to be aware of is that all the shots from this camera are zone metered automatically. I don't control it by any way. But yeah, the photos from this beach day are nice and blue, and that goes with the next shot, which is very blue and very nice. The brighter exposure of this shot really makes the blue a bit more desaturated, and I quite like it. I really like the color contrast of this image, the yellow in the skin and the rocks combating those blues, and it just blends so well. It's so smooth, and that's made even better by the dynamic range that really reveals all the shadows in the rocks. Then we have these 2 pictures of the water that I put side by side to really point out the different blues you get with this film. It's so blue, and there's so many different blues, so if you like blue colors like me, this is a film that you should definitely try out. And speaking about all of those colors, this film is marketed in Japan to be really good at reproducing the Japanese skin tone, and that's why they don't really sell it anywhere but Japan. Technically, what they've done with this film is they've removed the cyan sensitive layer, and the peak wavelength is further extended than Superia Extra, which means Superia Premium lets in more red light. And the implications of that for shooting portraits means that you end up with redder skin, which I honestly don't think is that bad. Take a look at this portrait that I took of my friend Liam. His face is a bit red, but he's in the sun, and I think it works, honestly. Then there's these 2 shots that I took of my friend Regan, and yeah, his face is red, but I took these pictures with a flash that is quite a cold blue, and I think it balances out in the end. It's not precisely accurate to what you would see in real life, but I think it works. And as for this out of focus shot, I think it looks cool. It's really hipstery, which I usually don't like, but sometimes I do like, so there you go. Moving on, we have this beautiful picture that I took of a sunset at the beach, and it's a bit more on the underexposed side, but that really makes the colors more saturated, and that golden sunlight is just gorgeous mixed with that purplish blue in the sky above, and the way that the water sort of pokes out and reflects that light in the sky, and those green shadows. I really like this image. This is easily one of my favorites from this roll. Something that I got to do with one of these rolls that I've never really ever done with film photography was shoot studio portraits, because my main SLR, the EOS 3000, now has these, which means I can shoot with studio syncing lights. And that was a really cool experience. I was shooting photographs with my friend Josh King. I hadn't actually planned to be shooting with this film for this shoot. We actually bought a roll of Portra 400 for it. The only reason I shot with this film that day was to finish the roll, really. But with that, we still got some nice shots, and the contrast of these images is just very nice. We also got a selfie with each other, which taught me one thing, which is to never take selfies with an ultra-wide lens ever again. There's going to be a whole video all about that shoot and everything we did that day, so make sure that you're subscribed to this channel and maybe hit notification bell if you want to see that video when it comes out. And with those images, that concludes this little section of the video where everything was metered at 400. The images that I show from this point onwards were all metered at ASA 200, which essentially means I am overexposing the film on purpose to be one stop too bright. It's not that huge of a difference, but it doesn't look good at all, at least on a digital camera. And that's where film really differs with digital photography. A lot of the latitude in film is found in the highlights, whereas the latitude in digital is found in the shadows. It's the inverse. But from what I understand, this is specific to color negative film and doesn't work as well in other films, but that's a thing to know, really. And using all of that latitude gives you 2 aesthetic benefits, which are slightly less saturated images and more dynamic range. So for the following pictures, I metered them to be one stop brighter, and this is the first time I've ever done that, and honestly, I didn't really notice those aesthetic benefits. Except for this one shot that I took of a surfer at the beach. It's an interesting shot, I really like it. It's heavily stylized, and it's such a smooth roll-off from everything really. There's a lot of dynamic range in this image. But also metering on this roll, I ended up with shots like this, which are nice. There's quite a bit of dynamic range, but it's not that different from a shot that I would have metered normally, I don't think. Same goes for this shot. It's very nice and very smooth. You even have the sun in frame, which you don't usually have for dynamic range reasons. But at least to my eyes, it doesn't really look all that different from the shots I was showing you earlier. There's also this shot which was taken at the beach as well, and it's pretty contrasty. It doesn't really feel like it was metered to be one stop brighter at all. And there's this shot too, which is contrasty and not contrasty at the same time. The paint on this building is actually more of a grey, and the film made it look a lot more blue, which I quite like anyways, so that's not really a problem. As well as that, there's this portrait of my friend Wesley, which is very nice again, and this picture of my friends that I took during Christmas, which is very nice. But you can't really tell that I metered it any different from the other shots. At least I can't. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I suppose that extra latitude is good in certain scenarios and barely noticeable in others, and that's why you should do it. At least that's what I assume at the moment. If you know more about this than I do, let me know in the comments down below. I am still learning about film photography. I'm still on my journey of shooting more and more different types of films and learning things, and that's what these videos are all about. It's me learning very publicly about film photography. Overall, my opinion of Fuji Superia Premium hasn't changed. It's still one of my most favorite film stocks that I've ever shot with. It is versatile, it is very nice, and really to form any opinion of your own, you have to shoot it yourself on your own equipment and at your own film lab, because there are so many elements that will change an image depending on what you do. So yeah, I hope you liked looking at my images. I hope it's informed you a little bit, and I hope you try shooting out this film. If you do, let me know in the comments down below, or if you've shot it before, let me know about your experience. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and smash that notification bell as if it were a thing that you want to smash. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week with another video all about cameras and stuff, because that's all I ever do. Click on these videos if you like the title and the thumbnail. I'm currently making my way through my second and third rolls of Portra 400. My next video about film photography in about a month will be all about those shots.